what's going on guys, it's Cynical and welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts 3 news and information video. Today for you guys we've got some exciting stuff to talk about, as recently IGN posted out a bit of a discussion from their experience of going over to Square Enix back in December of 2018 to have about 1 hour of Kingdom Hearts 3 demo footage shown off to them, which shows off worlds like Irondale, Caribbean, as well as the Kingdom of Corona. It was only these 3 worlds, and it was only about an hour of brand new footage that IGN got to see. It was also hands-off, meaning that the group didn't actually get to experience this new demo for themselves. Rather, it was actually played by Tai Yasue. But Jonathan Dornbush, who was a part of IGN, was lucky enough to be a part of this experience and obviously got to see a bunch of cool new stuff towards these 3 worlds. So today, I thought we'd talk about all of the cool new stuff that he mentioned during his experience of seeing this brand new 1 hour demo. Now, there's at least one interesting new thing that he brought up towards each of these 3 worlds. So let's start off with the Caribbean, as it seemed to be that Jonathan was most impressed by the Caribbean out of these 3 worlds. So first things first, he mentioned that you're able to drive and steer the pirate ship whenever you want, and you can exit it and go into normal combat and gameplay seamlessly. This is one thing that I guess is kind of to be expected, but good to know about. I'm sure that there is going to be specific scenarios throughout the Caribbean world where you are absolutely tied down to the pirate ship. Jonathan also mentioned that there are a bunch of different islands scattered all around the world space of the Caribbean world in which you can explore. A little bit of information came out about this not too long ago, where yes, there are these sort of deserted islands that are filled with enemies and treasures that you can just randomly come across. He did also mention that you can actually go into these like little hidden cave compartments of some islands underwater, where of course hidden treasures and enemies will be. Jonathan mentioned that in terms of exploration, he was most impressed by the Caribbean world out of Irondale and Kingdom of Corona, the 3 that they got to see. Now, obviously, it was only an hour in total across these 3 worlds, so, you know, obviously they didn't get to see absolutely every single last inch of these worlds, but still, I think from what we've seen of the Caribbean so far, from all of the trailers, and of course seeing the other worlds, it definitely seems to be that in the sense of exploration, the Caribbean certainly seems to be the most vast and widespread world we've seen. He also mentioned that at some stage in the demo within the Caribbean world, both Sora and Goofy teamed up to use the Goofy Bambaataa limit attack, which is the one where essentially Goofy and Sora jump into the air and Sora slams Goofy into the ground. But this scenario was interesting because he mentioned that this attack was actually used against a sand heartless, and when Goofy was actually flung into the sand heartless, he was actually completely swallowed by the creature. So it's interesting to know that some creatures react differently to some attacks. When Goofy was swallowed, he was then spit out the other side of the enemy. Whether or not he inflicted damage against the enemy by using this attack, I'm not too sure. Also, with them describing the Heartless as being a sort of sand Heartless, I would say this is that thing that we ended up seeing in the Dawn Till Dusk Amazon video games footage that came out not too long ago. Yeah, this strange thing in the Olympus world. The last interesting thing that Jonathan mentioned about the Caribbean world is that the fish that can actually be found in the ocean, yes, fish can be found in the ocean, folks, can actually be caught and brought back to Remy in Twilight Town to be used in some of the meals you can cook. So moving over to the Irondale section, obviously they got to see a little bit of Irondale. Now, there wasn't really too many interesting new things said about Irondale. It was more so going over the stuff we already know about. A large portion of the Irondale demo was just Tai Yasue playing the Goofy sledding minigame going down the mountain. Jonathan did mention that whilst playing this minigame, there's a bunch of different optional paths you can take, which will contain side treasures and all of that. Obviously, there is also a score system that is tracked too, like most minigames in Kingdom Hearts. One of the frozen bosses where Sora is teamed up with Marshmallow and gets to ride on the back of Marshmallow versing the giant wolf Heartless was actually shown off to IGN. But from the sounds of it, it was only those 2 scenarios from the Irondale world that was shown off to IGN. Like I said, nothing really new, just stuff we've already seen in the past. So, lastly, moving over to the Kingdom of Corona, the Tangled world, This is where stuff seems to get pretty damn interesting, specifically with character interaction. So Jonathan actually mentioned that in some instances when you're exploring the Kingdom of Corona, Rapunzel will actually react to the world space surrounding her and will sometimes go off and explore areas on her own. You can actually follow Rapunzel when she does this and engage in a conversation with her, which sometimes, from what Jonathan explained, will lead you to hidden treasures or extra optional combat scenarios. This is really cool because this kind of changes up the way in which you experience each world every single time you go through it in a different playthrough. And I would say this is not just for the Kingdom of Corona, but you're also going to be able to have these unique character interactions with the other party members in the other worlds as well, where they will go off and explore by themselves or mention little cool quirky things about the world space. It definitely makes a lot of sense, especially for the character of Rapunzel to be making these sort of remarks about the world and wandering off and seeing things for her own, considering that, well, she's sort of been kept inside her entire life and hasn't actually seen much of the outside world. Apparently, Tai Yasue had something interesting to say about exactly this. He mentioned that these triggers are apparently a part of building up Rapunzel's trust in Sora. Now, it wasn't made clear as to exactly if there is some sort of a system built into this in terms of your relationships with each of your party members that you come across in Kingdom Hearts 3. The last thing he mentioned is that some enemies do in fact have armor attached to them, and this is one thing that I have been wanting to talk about, as we actually have seen some enemies in some of the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers have armor bars instead of health bars. I would say the armor bar is just simply over the health bar, and that armor is harder to deplete than HP. But that is all of the interesting little pieces that came out of IGN's 1 hour experience across seeing Irondale, the Caribbean, as well as the Kingdom of Corona. Especially when looking towards the Caribbean, this has been the world that I've been most looking forward to ever since its reveal during E3 of last year, and still to this day. This is probably going to be the world I'm most excited for, that and Toy Box. Now guys, in the comment section down below, please be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions. I'm Cynical, hopefully you two are having an absolutely fantastic day, and until next time guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.
Hit them on the page, you'll be coming through stunning. Gold in my mouth when you suckers be bluffing. Milk crate, gaming up the bitch though. Catch me in the back playing Super Nintendo.